Well, now let's delve deeper into this story and speak to journalist Umar Farooq, who joins us from Istanbul. Umar, good to see you there. Thanks for taking time to talk to us here. Let me begin by asking you, there have been numerous complaints, not only from his supporters, but also from his family and Amnesty International over the conditions in which Mohamed Morsi were kept in, haven't there?
There have been complaints for some years now and reports that if his treatment can continue the way it was continuing, that he could possibly die. The interesting thing is in Egypt, when prisoners appear in court, they appear in a cage. So over the years that Morsi had been kept in prison, one of the few times that the public and even his family was able to actually see him were those times when he appeared in court. And over the years, people had noticed that he had been losing weight, and it had been known that he was diabetic. He needed insulin to survive, and a lot of times he wasn't getting that medicine, and he wasn't getting the proper diet that he needed. And so we had reports going back several years from Human Rights Watch, as well as there was a report from a group of British parliamentarians and lawyers and others last year saying that if his treatment continued the way it would, that he would suffer a premature death. And that appears to be what has happened here.
Well, this is catastrophic for supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood. But do you think might be his death convenient for others?
It's definitely convenient for Egypt's current ruler, General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. He came to power in 2013 in a military takeover, removing Morsi. He had some public backing at the time. People were unhappy with the way Morsi was governing. But ever since then, what had happened was in some parts of the world, you had a lack of recognition of what General Sisi had done. And now the death of Morsi is going to remove sort of one obstacle into his recognition as a legitimate leader of Egypt. Because there's no longer sort of a figurehead for you to say that this person is actually the legitimate democratically elected leader of Egypt.
Well, we've heard some of the cries of protest coming from Turkey, but in Egypt, what sort of repercussions might we expect from the death of Mohamed Morsi?
It's unlikely that there will be any real repercussions in Egypt. He was buried this morning, just a few hours ago, in Cairo. Only his family, his close family members were allowed to attend the funeral. He wasn't allowed to be buried in his own hometown. So inside Egypt, according to Human Rights Watch, there's at least 60,000 political prisoners in the country right now, including not only people from the Muslim Brotherhood, but also a broad spectrum of the opposition that was around in 2013 and 2012 and 2011, from liberals to conservative groups. The opposition in Egypt is really sort of behind bars, and it's unlikely that there's going to be any sort of public repercussion there.
So does this effectively mean also the death of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt?
I don't think so. The Muslim Brotherhood's been around for 70, 80 years in Egypt. It had grassroots support across the country, and in 2012, when there were the first elections in the country, the first democratic elections, it was swept into power. The government has tried really hard under General Sisi to remove the support that the Muslim Brotherhood had at the grassroots level. It's declared it a terrorist organization. It jailed its leadership. It's lobbied globally to have the group declared as a terrorist organization. But it still persists, maybe not inside Egypt, but the dissidents and the opposition figures that were able to leave the country have found places to continue their work. So I think it's still pretty popular. We'll see if Egypt ever has sort of democratic elections in the future, whether they're able to make headway again as a political party.
Umar Farooq there with analysis over the death of Mohamed Morsi. Thanks for joining us.